Jenai's story, a true crime story of two sisters. What are the odds that two sisters living in different cities, years apart, would become victims of similar crimes? The story I'm about to tell you is just that, except I lived. And let me tell you, survivor guilt is real. This is not fiction. Every moment, every detail is real. Rape, murder, drugs, the witness protection program, and the justice system that failed me. Things you wouldn't believe, except there's no denying they happened. But this story isn't just about crime. It's about what comes after. Having trauma so deep that sleep becomes a luxury. The fight for justice when the odds are stacked against you. And the struggle to rebuild when your faith in personal safety is completely shattered. And the strength it takes just to survive. Through it all, realizing something even more unsettling. Political decisions, they're not just headlines. They shape real lives in ways most people never see. Unfortunately, until it's too late. Before I tell you what happened, let me take you back to who Phyllis was and who we were together. Phyllis was only 4 feet 11, but she was mighty in every way. She was fearless and bold, yet incredibly warm and soft. She had the biggest heart for animals, always taking in strays, always dreaming of becoming a veterinarian. She rode horses equestrian style, but don't let that fool you. She also drove a 1972 Ford Mustang muscle car, and she knew how to work on it. She loved pink, but she was not a damsel in distress. She was the kind of person who could fix her own car, stand up for anyone in trouble, and still be the gentlest soul in the room. Her fiancé, Scott, was the perfect balance for her. Tall, strong, and manly, but just as gentle as she was. And he adored her. They were often playing tennis together, riding roller coasters, and they loved their families. They met at work and were instantly inseparable. It was a picture-perfect life. They both worked at a pawn shop. Scott's father owned all the pawn shops in our hometown of Jacksonville, North Carolina, home of Camp Lejeune, the largest amphibious Marine Corps base in the U.S. And in a town like that, pawn shops were big business. Phyllis was the oldest of 7. We grew up in a strict Italian Catholic family, first generations Italians. Our father was from Italy. And if there's one thing about the two of us, we were both feisty. Phyllis led the way, being the oldest, and I looked up to her in every way. But when I was 19, I left our hometown. Our father had died not long before, and my family was falling apart. I saw an escape, a chance to start fresh. I followed my boyfriend to McAllen, Texas. It's on the Texas-Mexico border, with dreams of college and a new life. But after I arrived in Texas, those dreams would be put on hold for a very long time. Life moved fast. I got married quickly, had my first and only daughter, Christina, in 1988. The last time I spoke to Phyllis was July of 1990. She was hosting a barbecue for the 4th of July weekend, and I had planned to go. I was supposed to stay with her. She was supposed to meet my little girl for the first time. That never happened. For some reason, at the last minute, I canceled. And I never stopped wondering, if I hadn't, would things have been different? Because had I gone, I would have been at her house when she was murdered. Maybe it wasn't my time yet. Or maybe I would have met the same fate. Because just days later, on July 11th, Phyllis and Scott were held hostage overnight and abducted from their home. From that moment on, nothing would ever be the same. I still remember that night, July 10th. I woke up in the middle of the night, pacing. My chest was tight with an intense sense of fear. I had no idea why, but something felt wrong. I tried to shake it off, told myself it was nothing, and forced myself to go back to sleep. The next morning started like any other. I turned on the TV. Music played in the background as I got ready for work. Then the phone rang. It was my sister Stephanie. In the background, I could hear it, Bon Jovi's Blaze of Glory playing through the static. Then came the words that would change everything. Phyllis and Scott are missing.